Everybody Hates Rand is a Wheel of Time podcast that will contain spoilers for all 14 books. So if you're anti-spoiler, stop this, read all 14 books, and come back. We'll be here, waiting.
Our title is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. Everybody in this context refers to us and our cats. You are free to feel however you want about Rand. He's a fictional character. Please don't DM us.
The world is a mess, Dark One stretching out his hand. The dragon's reborn, the fire's been fanned, but everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand.
Okay, this is Everybody Hates Rand, your friendly neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast. I'm Emily Jushaw.
And I'm Sally Goodger.
And it's another bad one, guys. How many times can we say this? It's another bad one.
I was reading this and I was like, I cannot even believe that this is what I'm reading right now.
Yeah, it's real.
It comes really out of nowhere, honestly.
Real shitty, yeah.
It feels, whatever, we'll get into it, but, it feels so obviously constructed. Like, this is one of those where you can see the blueprint to just, like, make Rand be even more of an asshole, because apparently that's important.
Yeah, it doesn't help that this is yet another one of those Brandon flavor scenes where we start out with a long montage of Rand sort of just introspecting about his emotional state and the things he wants and needs before we get into any sort of action. But
Yeah.
That's just sort of an ongoing problem. Yeah, we do get sort of like hit in the head repeatedly with lines like, duty's heavier than a mountain, and
It's not hard enough to be steel.
I've got to be harder. Which, how did that
make the
how
cut?
did it not get?
How did it not get cut
How
by
was
the...
not one tour publisher
Yeah,
like, oh, Rand needs to be really, really, really hard?
Yeah. Like, I feel like someone...
So why? Why does he have to be hard?
Someone at book publishers has to be running the, like, middle school humor read of a book, you know, to be like, you're gonna get roasted for this.
That would be a great job that I could
Yeah.
fulfill. If you need someone to just be like, find all the jokes a 13-year-old boy would find,
Yeah.
Emily Jushaw. She's your woman.
Yeah, instead of a sensitivity read, it's a 13-year-old boy read.
13-year-old boy read anytime you see the word hard. If it makes sense with an accompanying, like, porn-level moan at the end, then that's bad news, you guys.
You gotta cut it.
He needs to be hard.
Stop. You're so annoying.
Daddy. Oh, well, guys, I don't know. I wouldn't want you to be as hard as Quendi are, Rand. That seems like it would damage something. And also, I just worry about you, my guy.
Yeah. But we actually open with Semiraj, a Semiraj point of view of all.
Yeah, we open with
things.
a rancid Semiraj prison break. And it's not rancid because of the prison break, because that's basically expected.
Yeah.
It is quite Deus Ex Machina to have Moradin
Yeah.
send, presumably Moradin,
Yeah.
or maybe it's the Dark One himself rescuing Semiraj. I've been unclear and continue to be unclear about the role this creepy Murdrel Shadar Haran is playing.
Yeah.
He more or less seems to be a messenger of the Dark One, but I don't believe we've really seen him and Moradin interact. So I'm unclear if they are, like, one and the same in sort of tiers.
Yeah.
Or if this is Shadar Haran being like, I know Moradin said he doesn't want to rescue Semiraj because she did such a fuck up, but I am going to do that anyway.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, though, Shadar Haran is there and is like, don't worry, Semiraj, I'm here to solve all your problems. At just the moment when you have been, quote, broken, unquote, in torture, I have set you free. It's, like, frustrating because it's not even, like, Elsa being the mechanism here. Elsa has been such a ticking time bomb, more or less since book 7 or 8, you know, Varen's lobotomy tent.
Yeah.
When we had this sort of idea that of these Aes Sedai who have been literally compelled to serve Rand. One of them has had to do some real mental gymnastics to get there, since she's also Black Aja.
Yeah.
So, like, it would be nice if this... I don't need a bunch of Elsa points of view to get there, but I don't really want Shadar Haran to... It would be nice if it was just Elsa opening the door and being like, hey, gotta go, you know?
Yeah.
I'm also unclear about how they got the little, the male Adam.
Yeah.
That's not really explained.
Yeah, I have no idea. The whole thing is really Deus Ex Machina TM in the worst possible way, from Shadar Haran to them just having this.
Yeah, doesn't Elsa walk in with them to Semiraj?
Yeah.
Because I was like, it would make sense if Semiraj, you know,
went and got it or something.
went and got them, since she has all her huge knowledge.
But no, Elsa just gives it to her.
Elsa says, I am to give you this. So presumably Elsa herself didn't fetch them. Presumably Shadar Haran or someone else high level did. But, like, that's annoying.
Yeah.
It's like, women can't do anything.
Women can't even steal the bands of dominion or whatever Semiraj calls them. Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty. It just makes such a joke out of, like, Kadsuan's little preparations that she made, or, you know, her little traps that she set. Because it's like, the only reason you ever see the traps someone set on something is for those traps to later be sprung, or for someone to get around them, heist style.
Yeah.
So just having that happen off screen is kind of like, oh, well, this was so stupid, and Kadsuan was so arrogant that it isn't even a big deal.
Yeah, this, I don't know, I just feel like from a structural point of view, Chekhov's gun went off way too early in this book, you know, like...
Yeah, I see that.
They, like, introduced the male Adam, reintroduced it to us, and Kadsuan's like, look at these amazing traps that I've put on it. And it's like, that was only, like, 50 pages ago or something.
Yeah.
And we still have a hefty chunk of book to get through. So, like, why would we fire this particular plot device so early? I kind of feel that way with Semiraj as well. Like, we quote unquote broke Semiraj just a few chapters ago, and all of a sudden that is irrelevant because she has been released from prison and we don't learn anything from her anyway. Both of these things, Semiraj and the male Adam, are set up to be the, like, fall of Cadswan. This section ends with Rand dismissing Cadswan from his service. So I see how they tie together.
They're also meant, I think, to be the sort of apex, or rather what's the opposite of apex? The bottom of the abyss of Rand's emotional state. Mm-hmm. Which will culminate at the end of this book with Rand sort of, you know, looking at the abyss and facing that and coming out with a sense of enlightenment, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But, like, what it makes me think is that we're prioritizing Rand's weird emotional state over the actual plot of the series. Like, Brandon is trying to pace us more appropriately to get to Rand's enlightenment at the cost of having, like, this Chekhov's gun go off way too early. This scene that feels very much like it should be at the end of the book.
Yeah.
As sort of like a Rand goes crazy after this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now it's in the middle of the book so that we can have another series of bad things Rand does before he gets enlightened. Because Rand's gonna do some war crimes. We have not yet reached the war crimes section of this book.
Super.
Which is not great to think about, but it's like, I don't know, it just feels like it's like, okay, I gotta make Rand real, even more depressed somehow than he was.
Yeah.
So that he can do even worse war crimes, so that we're even more relieved when he comes out of that the other side.
Sure, I do think it is a bit of a cop-out as well when people are like, I have to make my character so emotionally fucked up that it explains why they make bad decisions, rather than just being like, Rand is a flawed person who we have seen make ethically questionable decisions since book 4, it is not beyond the realm of possibility that he would just swing really far in that direction. He's been doing that since the beginning of the book anyway. I don't really need this sort of like cliff to get him there. Like I would buy pretty much whatever Rand does at this point.
I also absolutely fucking hate the mechanic of tracking Rand's. We were making fun of it earlier, obviously, but like tracking Rand's emotional state through this sort of like leveling logic of being like, first I have to be as hard as rock, then I have to be as hard as steel. Now it's Quendiar, and it's just like, this is the most like, no one thinks that way. Have you ever in your entire life been like, everything will be fixed if only I were as hard as diamonds?
I mean, I have personally never thought that way. Maybe there's someone out there who loves to apply.
It's, I guess what I am thinking is
logic.
that, yeah, it's an incredible simplification of
that's
complex emotionality.
Yeah. I agree completely.
Like, we're defining really deep depression and some other mental issues as just being like, here's this little quippy one-liner. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's so... What it does is it, like, reduces the impact of Rand's emotional state. Like, it's just a huge joke now because it's so juvenile.
Yeah.
And not just because of the hard jokes.
Yeah, just because it's like, this is...
Oh, really? You found something harder than steel? What are you gonna get to next, Rand? Stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is this intense simplification, and it is another really egregious instance of this sort of showing, not telling of Rand's struggles with depression and trauma and mental illness, and we're just sort of trying to pack all of that into... Yeah, there's no other way of putting it. Like, you've leveled up. You know, you got a little Xbox achievement tag in the corner while you're playing Halo.
You're now as hard as Quendiar.
Yeah. And it seems like we've been dancing around Rand's mental state and this whole sort of stupid... Like, the introduction of this mechanic is not a Brando Sando brainchild, of course. Robert Jordan's been doing this for eons. It feels like, and we've been dancing around it for so long, but what is maybe, again, just like a bad hand that Brandon was dealt, but suddenly has to, like, speed run all of Rand's, like, processing of his trauma and mental illness, and we're just gonna do all of that in a single book.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, it is a huge relief that Brandon Sanderson does something to put Rand's character in the opposite direction that he's been going at the end of this book. Because Rand, at this point, as he has been for the last few books, I would say, been not just tough, but downright miserable to read.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a reflection of his emotional state. It can be to be a little bit glib about, you know, real mental illness and trauma, but you can read about characters with mental illness and trauma and it not be like a totally wrenching experience. It can be by turns a very comforting experience or very interesting. But Rand just has so much going on all the time that it's like, not only is he depressed and emotionally unstable, but also he's got all his weird hang-ups with women. All the stuff he's doing is weird and ethically questionable, so it's just like, yeah, there's not much to redeem Rand in those moments.
Yeah, I just read Speak by, what is it, Laurie
Hal Sanderson?
Yeah. Which is a book about a character who is very, very depressed and emotionally unstable, and that was a lovely book to read. Like, as you said, like, there was something just very comforting about allowing yourself to be in that space and sort of experiencing it and seeing a character really sort of find ways to pull themselves through. Of course, with help, like, nobody, not saying you have to, like, pull yourself out of your depression yourself, but Melinda, the narrator of that book, is really working hard to try and figure things out, you know, and that was just, like, so lovely, but, like, she was also really fucked up throughout all of it. And then you come here and Rand is just, like, it's just not a pleasant experience. So that's just to give a counterpoint if you're interested, if you're if you're interested in seeing a different approach to a character struggling mentally and emotionally.
Yeah, or even like Murderbot.
Yeah.
Where Murderbot is incredibly depressed and anxious, but is the funniest narrator alive.
Oh, I love Murderbot.
It's just like, the problem is that Rand is wallowing, I think.
Yeah, the problem is that Rand is Rand. He's a wallower. He is...
Which, like, you love a good wallow for 5 minutes. Maybe one out of the 98 chapters we've had of Rand's point of view. He should be wallowing, but, like, guys.
And I really don't think maybe I'm putting way too much weight on this, but I don't think I would have half the problems I have with Rand as a narrator if it wasn't this stupid fucking thing about women.
Yeah, which brings us back to the actual plot of this, which is that Rand gets back from taking a 2-year-old.
Speaking of war crimes, the 2-year-old's like, maybe I shouldn't invade Saldia, and Rand's like, no, you're going to.
Rand's like, no, this will be better for me, actually, because people will kick up less of a fuss. Because his logic is that he thinks if he sends the Saldians back to Saldia, there will be some sort of, like, mass desertion.
Yeah, from
crisis.
His army.
And he thinks that he can't trust E2-World to be in Erid Doman, bringing order to Erid Doman, which is just, like, the logic of that is so fucked up that, like, it could be interesting on one level. Like, this could be yet another way to showcase that Rand is mentally unstable, because this is a thing that doesn't make sense, and even when he explains his logic to us, what that reveals is not anything about what's actually going on, but about Rand's paranoia.
Yeah.
Rand fundamentally does not trust Bashir, who he's been with for, like, 7 books, and should trust. And E2-World, who really has no reason to do anything against him in this instance.
All a 2-year-old has been wanting throughout his entire character arc is to bring some stability back to his homeland. So, like...
Yeah.
I think you can trust him to do what he is motivated by.
So it's just some, like, megalomania, but it's not being called out as megalomania. We're just being, like, we're not being, like, E2-World and Bashir exchange glances, like, ew.
Like...
It's just Rand walking away being like, yep, and those reasons make perfect sense.
Yeah, he doesn't even explain them to Bashir in a 2-year-old.
Yeah,
He's
it's
like,
just in his head.
It is beneath me to explain my decisions to anybody, which is how you know the leader is doing a really good job.
And he returns to camp, or his little camp, and is like, here are some things that are troubling me. Let me just run down the list while I'm walking. Numero uno, what the fuck is up with Moradin? And we're like, yeah, we don't know either, bestie.
Maybe you should kiss.
Yeah, have
With
you
tongue.
considered that? Maybe a little makeout would clarify the situation.
I don't know, you could try it. It's something you haven't tried yet, so you don't know if it's successful.
You have to try everything.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
You have to give everything equal weight. That's what a good general
It's the scientific method. Kissing with tongue is number 3 on the scientific method.
Number 1, hypothesis.
He's also been thinking a lot about, what he, like, questions Luce Therin. He's like, Luce Therin just somehow... Luce Therin just pops out with, oh, by the way, your hot girlfriend, whose name I don't know, despite being able to observe your hot girlfriend, she's right about you needing to break the seals for the Dark One's prison. And Rand's like, oh, Worm? Like, yeah, that's what I thought, but can you explain to me, like, your reasoning? And Luce Therin's like, no. Luce Therin's like, the reason Sidon got tainted is because that's what we used to try and patch up the Dark One's prison. Mm-hmm. And Rand, in a sort of roundabout way, is kind of like, okay, so what is a way that I can seal the Dark One's prison without doing that? Like, without putting Sidon or Sidar at risk.
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't you know it, the very answer to that question is given to him later in this chapter. When Rand, through his severe emotional trauma, don't you always love it when this happens, accesses a full new form of power that isn't Sidon and isn't Sidar, it's just some other new thing.
Yeah, speaking of Chekhov's gun firing
gone
too early.
Full...
Dark side.
What's that? Phoenix from X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he also has gone full dark side. He's, like, making force lightning balls now. So that's what's on Rand's mind. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else.
It's so stupid that Lutheran doesn't know Min's name.
Yeah, it is really ridiculous. I'm just like, oh, great. So any redeeming qualities Lutheran might have had. And he was not
Pretty
doing well.
low, yeah.
Not doing well. It's just like, women are like birds. You have to put them in a cage. And also, I don't know any of their names except Ilyena's.
It's like, okay.
Maybe he's just really face blind.
Yeah, maybe he's just like such a wife guy that there's no
the
room
only
in his
woman who exists
is his wife. There's no room in his brain for other women.
That is such a generous interpretation for us to give him that I'm astounded. Anyone who says that we're mean and bullying Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson, shut up. Look at us. We're giving you all the bandwidth in the world. Lutheran might just really like his wife, not be a huge misogynist. God.
Yeah.
So anyway, Rand returns to where Min is, like, reading on their bed. There's a serving woman walking around, which is immediately suspicious.
Yeah.
Because we have literally never seen anyone, like, clean up after Rand and Min before.
Yeah.
Or if we have, it's one of the maidens
Yeah.
doing that shit.
Yeah.
So it's, like,
Yeah, the whole time I was like...
And then they're just having, like, this intensely emotional conversation also while this woman is still there. And I'm like, I believe that's something that you would do in, like, a Game of Thrones world where you're, like, a noble person who's grown up surrounded by servants.
Are just invisible to you at that point.
Yeah, but we're talking about Rand and Min, two peasants, more or less, who have only gained this class mobility in the last few years. I think it would really skeeve them out to be like...
Yeah.
And there's just a random woman here while we're talking about...
Yeah, our relationship and my mental state and...
Yeah.
Everything.
So anyway, not a great... Like, it's a fine disguise for Semiraj, I guess, but for the readers, it's a little okay, we're not stupid. Could you
Earth? Yeah.
do something different? Anyway, Rand walks in to talk to Min. Min's like, I'm so worried about you because I'm always worried about you because you're so fucking depressed.
Yeah.
And Rand's like, oh, well, I just have to do it. I just have to get the world to the last battle, and I can't think about anything else. Because... what else am I gonna do? Oh, yeah. Min's like, Rand, you haven't laughed in months. And Rand's like, what am I supposed to do? Laugh while Trollocs kill children? And you're like, bestie. First of all, no one said that.
Yeah.
Min didn't say, hey, I need you to go laugh while atrocious things are happening in front of you.
Yeah.
Min's saying, like, hey, bad things are happening in the other parts of the world because bad things are always happening in other parts of the world. I recognize that you have feel a lot of responsibility about it, but, like, you're still a person.
Yeah, like, you still have to figure out how to exist in the world and live your life when there are tragedies that happen.
Yeah.
We've all had to figure out how to do it, Rand. It's now just your turn.
Anyway, she's like, you just can't... Katsuan says, which is a mistake, because Rand's like, Katsuan says? What's your fucking... Katsuan's telling you you're some sort of spy for Katsuan? And Min's like, hey, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So it's like Rand's already being paranoid again,
Yeah.
and using that to mistreat Min, like raising his voice at her and acting a little scary. Then Semiraj reveals herself and is like, mwahaha, my evil plan is... She literally just, like, walks up behind Rand and clicks it around his neck. And it's like, Min is like, this is fine. The serving woman walking within inches.
Just approaching to Rand's neck.
Stupid.
And also, Rand, where are your, like, master sword boy skills or whatever in this single instance when, like, you might be cautious of someone approaching you?
I know, again, it all is predicated on the belief that Rand and Min wouldn't care about a servant, but they would.
Putting your hands around your neck.
Yeah. This is fine and normal. Servants be servants.
But yes, Simraj has put the domination band is what I think she calls it.
Like that.
Bands of Dominion or some other D&D level thing.
Yeah. Min manages to throw a knife at her again. This does nothing but slightly annoy her. So, Min, why the fuck do you even have knives?
Why do you even have knives if you can't kill the Forsaken?
Yeah. But Min gets tossed off. Rand can't do anything immediately with this thing on him. He can't channel, can't move, whatever. Semiraj just sort of evil monologues at him for a while. Elsa comes in and reveals herself also. Semiraj tries to torture Rand by having him, like, hurt himself or, you know, like, choke himself, channel, whatever. But he is kind of, like, snaps, like, oh, you can't do anything else to me. I've already been through so many awful things, physically speaking, so I am Egg in this moment.
Yeah.
I can laugh through the pain. Wahaha.
Yeah.
Semiraj is like, that's what you think, but what you don't know is that I've seen every movie from the 1950s to 2023, and I know that the best way to nerf a man is by making something bad happen to a woman close to him. A woman he's fucked, ideally.
Yeah.
Or wants to fuck. Or his mom. Shout out to Martha.
I am having a heart attack as
Flashbacks.
we speak.
I was thinking about that movie today. I don't remember why.
For those not in the know, that's bad. That's a reference to Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, Batman versus Superman, one of the worst movies that exists. Speaking of Henry Cavill.
That movie is so atrocious. Okay.
It takes fridging to, like, ludicrous new tropes. Because, you know, everyone knows what fridging is. I assume you know what fridging is. Fridging is still a bad, like, the mechanic that makes fridging such a bad and misogynistic thing is still in play, even if the woman doesn't die.
Yeah.
Even if we're still like, a woman is harmed, and that hurts a man, or a man is forced to harm a woman, and that hurts the man. Mm-hmm. It's still all about the man. Mm-hmm. And nowhere is that more apparent than when, after this scene ends, after, you know, Rand has to, like, choke out Min, he's on the verge of killing her, wham bam, he accesses a new kind of power, what we the readers perhaps know as the true power, which is what Moradin wields, and makes the little flecks across his eyes grow, sort of like the Dark One's special power. Rand wields that, Balefire, Semiraj, and Elsa, and then what happens is that Min is like, no, they're, like, laying there, Min's recovering from almost dying, and Rand goes, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
To me.
Yeah.
While the blood vessels in Min's eyes have burst.
Rand's doesn't, like, the normal thing to do is turn to the woman you've just choked against your will and be like, oh my god, are you alright?
Yeah. What do you need?
What can we get for you? This is bad for both of us, I recognize, but we're partners because we check in on each other.
Yeah, and, like, only one of us almost just died. I don't know. Like, just a thought.
Yeah, I know this was bad for you, Rand, and I know it's not, like, fun to have to hurt your like, to lose your autonomy that way, and to be that close to killing someone you care about. That's very traumatic. But Min is the one with the more pressing physical needs in this moment.
Can she breathe? Was her windpipe crushed?
Yeah. Do you need a hospital? Like, oh my god. But instead, Rand just monologues about how this is the worst thing that's ever happened to him. But now that it's happened, at least he is leveled up even farther on his Hardboy scale.
Yeah, I mean...
And if I were Min, I'd be like, I'm leaving, and I need you to know it's not because you almost just killed me. It's because you almost just killed me, and then we're like, this is fine.
This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Yeah, if I were Min, I would leave Rand. Divorce.
Yeah, this would be, like, if you haven't had enough million reasons to break up with this dude, this is a really astoundingly good one.
Yeah. he says, this is the last that could be done to me, or whatever. And Min's like, well, I almost just died, which meant that would have been literally the last thing that was ever done to me.
Yeah, so...
Maybe
But I guess that doesn't count
Yeah.
because I'm a woman, so I'm not actually a person. I'm just a character in your story.
Correct. So, justice for Min, I guess.
Yeah, justice for Min. She might be one of the world's most annoying characters, but she does deserve justice.
Yeah.
We then switch over to Katsuan as she runs up to be like, what the fuck happened? She was visiting with Soralia or something, so she has just heard about it. We find out that of the Aes Sedai who were guarding Semiraj, one died, the other two didn't, but it doesn't really matter. If they had all died, it would have been like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. And it really bothers me, because they're like, the other two were only almost killed, because if they would have died, their warders would have known immediately.
But the other one didn't have a warder, so she just died.
She just died. And I'm like, okay, so you care about that logistical point, but you're not going to explain to me how we got the bands of domination.
Yeah.
What the fuck? It just really pissed me off.
And also, like, what a stupid way to be like, and they're the villains because they went out of their way to kill this one woman, even though it would have just apparently been just as easy to put her under this trance.
Kill her.
Whatever. They get there. Basically, the first thing that happens... Katsuan's like, what the fuck happened? Basically, the first thing that happens is Rand is like, hey, Narishma, this is Balefire. Use it on the Forsaken if you need to. And Katsuan's like, Balefire's evil. I've told you a million times, you insolent wretch, or whatever the fuck. Yep. And Rand's like, first of all, fuck you. Second of all, it's still what you gotta use for the Forsaken. Third of all, fuck you.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, Katsuan, see this thing that was in your office? And she's like, oh, shit. Well, what do you want me to do? Apologize? Which is, like, unhinged behavior.
Yes, I do want you to apologize.
Yeah, that would be nice. I don't expect you to, like, fix what just happened. I might not even fully blame you for this. Yeah. I might recognize that Semiraj is a powerful entity. And that, you know, maybe I fucked up in giving you that. Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of blame to go around. You might not be the main target, but, like, yeah, apologizing is the first thing humans do. To express concern for other humans, and to express, you know, recognition that the blame can be shared on a community level. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, maybe if you were a human and not some weird alien construct of an old woman from Robert Jordan's brain, that's what you would do.
Yeah.
But whatever. Anyway, Rand's like, so Katsuan, despite the fact that of all the people I shouldn't be trusting here, probably the other Aes Sedai who swore en masse to me alongside Elza should probably be number one on my list. Mm-hmm. You're actually number one on my list, so if I see you again, I will kill you.
And Katsuan has the funniest response to this, which is not like, hey, what the fuck? She's like, no, you don't kill women.
She's like, have you noticed, though? I'm a woman, so I have what is not plot armor, but is basically plot armor where you're concerned. And Rand's like, yeah, I'm over that. And Katsuan's like, oh, well.
He does literally while, like, Semiraj is trying to torture both him and Min. Luthran is like, oh my god, kill her. And Rand's like, I don't kill women. And
and I'm like, oh, now you do. It's just fine.
Okay, whatever.
It's also so annoying that Rand getting over his killing women thing is framed as this absolutely cataclysmic sign of his mental and emotional decline rather than, like, woohoo, finally.
Yeah, sometimes it's a win for feminism.
Yeah.
Somehow, instead of being some sort of like, oh shit moment, this is a win for feminism.
Feminist victory. Man who almost killed his girlfriend and then didn't check up on her now feels confident about killing women.
Yay!
Woohoo!
Call Oprah.
Yeah. Wow, I'd love to see what Oprah did with this situation.
So yeah, he's like, if I ever fucking see you again, I'll kill you. So leave.
And it's so tragic because there's a very obvious loophole put into this instruction to Cat Swan, which is he's like, if I see your face, and it's like, okay, so Cat Swan can just hide her face and still maybe get around that.
Yeah.
Depending on the mood Rand is in. But, like, I wish this had just been like Cat Swan, like, okay, goodbye, and then she leaves.
And she just wasn't in the story
She
anymore.
was just like, well, I fucked up big time.
Yeah, that would be so good. Or even better, Rand did kill her.
Yeah. Rand just executed Cat Swan. I also think that would have been an interesting way to shorten the emotional plot here. Mm-hmm. You know, we obviously don't agree with Rand's whole shit about killing women, but deliberately killing Cat Swan, who is his ally.
Yeah.
As a form of, like, justice in his warped sense of it, would be a far more interesting way to express, like, well, now he really needs to go on an enlightenment journey, rather than just being like, and now Rand's gonna keep sort of just doing the same things he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be good plot. It would be good story shorthand for a lot of things, and it would get rid of the worst character.
Yeah, and it would get rid of Cat Swan, which is the crucial point.
Yeah, which is really what we need to
so
happen.
Important. I want her gone so badly.
It would have been really iconic.
I know. And everyone was just like, let's all watch Cat Swan.
Everyone was like, ooh.
Like, remember when that one ale guy was like, Rand, I did a murder, so therefore I have to be hanged, and Rand was like, okay, see you later.
Yeah.
I think that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Except Cat Swan has no honor. Unlike the ale.
You're right. Unlike the ale.
So guys,
I also, like, I have a point against Brandon Sanderson's logistical, emphases for the not killing those two Aes Sedai, but I do appreciate him bringing back the fact that Varen put a bunch of compulsion on these women, because I had totally forgotten that. Because it had not been mentioned in a really long time.
fair enough.
So when she was like, compulsion, I was like, what the oh. It was the lobotomy.
So that's where we leave all our beloved characters.
Yeah.
They are going to, Rand's plan will next take them to the capital city of Eridomon, Bandar Iban, so, the Eridomon plot that's been threatening to happen for 23 chapters will finally get going in the latter half of this book.
Oh, the plot to kidnap all the national leaders?
Sort of.
And put them in a room and force them to make a decision?
Yeah, the world's best decision ever. We're about halfway through the book. The downhill slope continues somehow past the point of no return, because the next chapter is a good old long Gawain one. I know, grim. Then we'll get a very brief Shiriam and Egg point of view, and depending on how I personally am feeling, we might read another one, because we just have on our reading schedule, it's like these next two, then we have a series of 3 that's Avienda, and then 2 Mats, and I might rather just do both Mats. There's not a lot plot-wise to talk about there, but if we need more time to mourn, then that will be the venue. So yeah, guys, isn't it so fun to talk to us these days?
We should write a eulogy for Matt.
I should write a eulogy for Matt. One of these days, maybe, this book will be funny or nice again, but I don't know, you guys. We might just be down here in the depths until the Tower of Genji.
Well, at least Ed's happy.
But at least Ed's happy or incredibly angry. It's sort of impossible to tell with him.
He is
purrs.
purring, but he is also glaring at us.
Yeah, he purrs, but he looks at you like, I want to eat your flesh.
I want to eat your flesh.
I
So,
want to suck your blood.
I mean, upside. Narishma has Balefire now, and I think he should get every weapon.
Narishma is
plausible.
also the only person who asks Min how she's doing.
Yeah.
So
You're so right.
Narishma, that's my husband.
Maybe, Min, you should just date Narishma instead.
Yeah, imagine if Min left Rand for Narishma. That would be the funniest possible thing that could happen.
Yeah, and then you're just like the guy who stole the Dragon Reborn's girlfriend. And everyone's like, I mean, Rand, look at him. You let a man that hot around your girlfriend?
Yeah, and also you were a total dick to your girlfriend? Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't have been a dick to your girlfriend.
Maybe you should have made better decisions.
Oh, Narishma, my beloved. Rand is also like, I don't even know if I can trust Narishma. Like, what if he's loyal to his friends?
I'm like, okay, yeah.
Most people are.
Yeah, I don't know how to unpack that for you, Rand. Just because you have no loyalty whatsoever for Matt and Perrin.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean other people aren't the same.
So, we did it. Another 2 chapters down the hatch.
We did it. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Glenna Mackenzie for our theme song. Thanks to our patrons on Patreon and our followers on social media.
Yeah, thanks so much, you guys. No.
Okay, do you have a sign off?
You guys, okay. When we were in Istanbul, Emily's family was, like, some of them were playing a card game. Me and Emily's sister, Sarah, were reading on the couch. And Emily was the only one out of the room. And she comes in very seriously and is like, Anne, I need you to come with me.
And first, Sarah had said, someone come look at this. So I'd gone to go look. And then I came back and said, Anne, come look. Sarah and I had decided, we were like, we're going to send everyone in one by one to go look at this. So, yeah.
And I was like, oh my god. Emily, of course, has a very, like, deadpan. I was like, oh my god, something's wrong. And then she comes back. And Anne, like, wasn't laughing or anything.
We're all pretty good at it with a poker face.
Then she was like, Adam, I need you to come here. And I'm seriously like, what the fuck is going on? And finally, she pulls me back there to show me that it's like loose in the, like, not even in a bag, just like loose on the bottom of this wardrobe in our Airbnb in Istanbul was like 2 pounds of Werther's caramels.
Let me be clear, these were not left by the Airbnb host. These were my dad's Werther's that he brought with him.
I have never...
And had just sort of piled there like an offering.
I have never seen this many Werther's caramels in my entire life, like, collectively.
And then when we came back and we're like, Dad, that's an inhuman amount of Werther's, he was like, I don't know if it's gonna be enough. And he winnowed them down quite a bit. I would occasionally go check on his pile. He had a different one in Greece, and that man eats so many Werthers.
It was so funny to me, and he's just, like, really good at hiding it, because I never noticed that he was eating one or had one in his mouth.
He's never, like, slurping on his Werthers. He just somehow knocks them back 12 at a time or something.
You guys, it was so many.
He's so haunting.
It was so funny.
I hope someone took a picture.
I think I might have. It was a big pile. I'm not joking, you guys. I don't think... 2 pounds might not even be a high enough estimate.
Yeah, he gets them in bulk. Okay, everyone.
And then he bought more while we were there.
Oh yeah, he was so excited that he found Werther's in Greece.
In the bus station.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye. Oh, happy Pride, by the way, I guess.
Yeah.